Photography at a local convention in downtown Chicago. I went with a group of friends. We drove in there. No issues, a really great time. Of course, I did do some photography, but in this case, I used a phone. So I was curious to see how decent of a job I could do with a phone. In my case, it's an LG Stylo 3, so it's older, it's not great with photography, but there is the open camera application, which I did use with DNG RAW. So at least with the RAW files, I was able to eke out a little bit of extra detail and quality with the photos. Gonna look at them throughout this video, but just generally gonna talk about doing photography at a convention, in this case at c2e2. Let's get started. A few years back, I went to the same convention with the same group. Actually, I was using the X100F from Fujifilm. That worked pretty well. With this application, it's open source. That's really nice. He's doing a great job on it. It works pretty well on my phone. I'm sure, depending on the phone, you will have some features or other ones you won't have. I could do exposure compensation, either a half stop or a third of a stop in that case, just to not have the highlights as strong and pronounced, because this camera can easily blow those out. Actually, looking at the photos, I think I could have dropped it down even a little bit more on the exposure compensation, because it just tends to really have bright photos. The biggest challenge was autofocus. I could tell that it was struggling. It's contrast based in this case, but still I was able to get decent-ish photos, and then the shutter speeds were really low, and that was another challenge, because if the person I was taking a photo of was moving too much, that could cause an issue, or if I was moving too much. My general technique was holding the camera out and double tapping on the face, and I had the settings set up so that I could be able to do that double tap and it would take a photo automatically instead of using the on-screen button or one of the side buttons. It does have a face priority mode. I didn't try that out. It's just not worth the potential hassles of it trying to select a different area or select a different person that would focus where the camera decided instead of where I decided. I'm going to go over some of the settings I had in the open camera application that are important. Face detection I did have off. Go into the more camera controls, touch to capture, and then double tap to get that instant photo taking. In the save location, I set it up to go to my SD card. It just has a lot more storage. In this case, this phone is pretty limited on internal storage. In the camera preview area, I disabled the zoom controls. I don't want to use any of that. When I'm doing the raw files, it doesn't make any sense to use the zoom controls because those relate to the JPEG files. Have it to show the battery, show the free memory, and show the ISO on the screen that it's using. Those are all optional, but just more information is nice sometimes. Have it set up to show the histogram. It could adjust things. In this case, things are happening fast, so in general, I just take that photo, try to get it as steady as possible. Like I said, I left it on a third of a stop or a half of a stop. That was okay for the most part. And then one of the settings, it says show a border when it takes the photo so that I get some type of visual indication when it does finally take that photo. This camera is pretty slow. The phone is pretty slow to take the photos, but you can see the results. It works out okay. You go into the on-screen GUI settings, UI placement to portrait on the top. I have it to show the RAW icon. You can tap that to switch between RAW or RAW plus JPEG or just the JPEGs. Have it set to show the auto white balance lock, also the auto exposure lock button. In the photo settings, image quality for JPEGs at 100%. In case I do use JPEGs, I wanted it to be the highest quality possible, and DNG RAW only is really what I use most of the time. In the camera API, you can set it up to Camera 2 API, which is basically more advanced. It gives you more features like the RAW modes. If your phone does support that Camera 2 API, that's good. You want to check that. Then it has a settings save area that you can save all of those changes to a custom file. I'd set that up just in case I changed things. I could reload that if I needed to. Now I did see some DSLRs, saw some mirrorless cameras, saw a few people with flash, like more serious setups. I think I saw a Sony A7 camera at one point. So there were dedicated cameras around, but still not as many as I would have expected at a large convention like that. After this practice run with this phone, I would actually like to buy a more advanced phone, a phone with a larger sensor, better lens, like a faster aperture lens. I think this is 2.4 or so, 2.2, 2.4, something like that. I'm not sure on the sensor size I'll put on the screen, but it's kind of just barely decent enough to get okay photos with it a good amount of the time. Actually, I think the biggest flaw of this is the autofocus speed, which is not great. There are definitely drawbacks to having that convenience, but I think in the future, I'll try to take the M5 with the 22mm, which I did have set up, I just didn't decide to take it this time. was curious to see how things would work, and you've seen the results.